Good morning and welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Carrie Barnum for New Shelves Books. We are here to talk about book marketing, publishing, and the business of being an author. We do meet every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can join us by visiting newshelves.com/FAF for Free Advice Friday. We do also put our replays up on YouTube. So if you're not following us, please go on over and give us a follow. Simply youtube.com/New Shelves Books. That way, if you can't join us live, you can email your questions in to info@newshelves.com. We'll answer them live, and then you can catch the replay when it's more convenient for you. So with that, we do have a couple of emailed in questions that I want to tackle today. And the first one is from Jane. It was asking about boosting a post on Facebook. Does it make sense? Facebook will often prompt you, hey, this post is doing better than some of your other posts. You should boost it. But what exactly does that mean? And why would you spend money on it? So boosting a post on Facebook essentially means that you're going to put it out. Whatever you posted about your book, you posted a dog picture, whatever it is. When you post it, when you boost a post, it's a way to get more engagement or likes on that specific post. Now, this is an ad, you will pay for it. And the reason why people may boost a post, because maybe it was the announcement of your new book and you are announcing it. You're saying, hey, everybody, my fourth book is out, go check it out. And you want to boost it. And when you boost that post or run an ad for it, you can run an ad that kind of targets a specific audience, or you can just say, hey, Facebook, pick anyone you like in this region or whatever it may be, and go ahead and show it to them to get more attention. You can also specifically boost it to your own audience. So if you have a Facebook business page, you can boost it to make more people who like your page already see it. So sometimes when boosting, especially for something that's like a second or third or fourth book, then we'll boost it specifically to that Facebook audience or to them and their friends, because they are more likely to have already read the book before. So that's one reason you may do it. The other reason you may do it is engagement. So one of the reasons is to get more engagement. Have you ever been on someone's Facebook page and you see they have like 2,000 likes on a specific page, or they have different people commenting, and this thing seems to go viral? And then you look at the rest of their page and they have like a comment here, a comment there, not a lot of activity. Most likely they boosted that post that has a lot of activity. And there's a couple of reasons for doing that. Number one, because you want people to see that specific post, like if it's a book launch post. But you may do it with something like a meme or something that's just generally interesting. And the reason to do that is engagement, because the more people engage with one of your posts, the more likely they are to see other posts from you. So for example, when we are about to launch a book, I may say, hey, you're in Cozy Mysteries. Let's find a mystery meme. Let's put it up. Let's boost it. Let's spend $20 to boost it, to get a lot of people to see this meme, because they're more likely to react to a meme if they don't know you, if they don't know your page, than they are to react to your specific book, because it's more general. So we're going to boost this meme for 20 bucks. We're going to get as much audience interaction as we can, and people will like it. They'll do the laughing emoji. They may comment on it or share it, and we're boosting up your engagement, which means that those people are more likely to see your next post, which is going to be your book launch post. So that's one reason to do it. Also, when people like and interact with your book post or your post, if it's boosted, this typically, hopefully, if you've hit the mark, is people who might be interested in your book. And there is a way that you can click on, like when it shows you 175 people have liked or laughed at this post. When you click on that, it will pull up a list of all of those people who liked or laughed or loved it or hated it, whatever it is. And if you are in your business page and it's your ad, if you click on that, it will show you all of their names, and it will show you if they follow your page or not. If they do not follow your page, it will have an invite button that you can push. So you can invite them to like your page and start following you. Now, if you've already invited them, it'll say invited. It'll be grayed out, so you can't duplicate that. But this is a way that you can actually grow your Facebook audience, so you have more people liking your page. It can be a way to get the algorithms and get more people seeing your post so that they'll see your next post. So it's not necessarily driving sales in that case, but it is setting up your future platform. So that's one reason why you might boost a post. And the other reason is maybe with your book launch, you actually have a link to your sales page and you're boosting it for that reason. And you're boosting to try to get more link clicks. So those are the reasons why you might use it. It does definitely depend on your personal goals. Boosting posts just like crazy. I have some people who are just like, yeah, let's boost it. Let's boost this. Let's do that. And they end up, I look at their ad spend, I'm like, you spent $500 on boosting posts, but you didn't invite those people to like your page when they liked that post. You didn't really sell anything. You didn't do much. So what's the purpose? So I think it could be helpful, but I think it's also something you have to be careful about being strategic with, so you don't just spend a ton of money and then kind of don't have a purpose in mind. We want to spend with a purpose in mind, with a goal in mind, so we can track that and see if it's working well. So hopefully that kind of helps you understand what kind of tangible and intangible lift you might get from boosting a post and when you might want to do it. Yeah, and that is asking, it seems Findaway Voices is not offering to work with narrators anymore. That is correct. They have gotten rid of the creator space for finding narrators. Is ACX the only other option to create an audiobook, and is Findaway still good for audiobook distribution? So ACX is another option for creating an audiobook. However, you can also go and find narrators individually. You can go to different companies to find narrators and so on and so forth. So it was convenient because Findaway Voices or ACX kind of drew talent in that you could audition for your book. It was all in one platform. And ACX does still do that. They do that with the royalty share option where you don't pay them up front, but the narrator gets a royalty share, or they have the option where you just outright pay someone. So that's still available to you. However, you can find narrators in so many different places. You can go to individual narrators, you can go to production companies. So that option is still available. And the process is essentially the same. And I have to say, the pricing is pretty much the same as well. So it's not your only option to go to ACX, but it is, I'll say, maybe your most convenient or less work because you already know where the platform is. But you can absolutely find narrators outside of that. And that's what I've done with my last few audiobooks I've been working on. I found some really great companies that work either in specific genres, or we have found a narrator that did some other books in like comp books that we really loved. And then we found that narrator, their website, and asked them directly and worked with them that way. So there are different ways to do it. It just depends on how much work you want to put in and how much control you want when you go through ACX. Of course, you're going through their platform specifically. Whereas if you're going outside, you have more options because you're in control. You're the one creating the contract and paying, etc. Now for distribution, I still love Findaway Voices for wide distribution. So ACX, you can go exclusive with ACX, which means you do get a higher royalty from Audible. And sometimes you'll get more features and different things like that. However, it means you're stuck on Audible. And this is why I like non-exclusive with ACX for Audible, and then going to Findaway Voices for your other options. Because when you go to Findaway Voices for your other options, you get into overdrive for libraries, and they are loving audiobooks in libraries. You can get into Chirp Books, which is a huge opportunity for promotion of audiobooks because Chirp Books, as we know, is the sister company to BookBub, and they do their discount audiobooks. And I've had so much success there. I wouldn't want to pass that up. You also can get into iBooks, Kobo, and everywhere else through Findaway. So my personal preference at the moment for most books is going to be ACX, non-exclusive for Audible, and then Findaway Voices for everywhere else. So of course, do your research, depends on your genre and everything else, but that's what I am personally using and prefer at the moment. Let me see. Next question was from Barbara D. So Barbara recently wrote a book. It is called The Leaner, Meaner Senior. And this book is all about the health of seniors. And she was running into this problem where she was because of the subtitle that talks about proven ways to help with osteoporosis, meaning exercise. What happened was that they were getting caught up in Amazon saying they could not run ads because they were making medical claims. So this is one thing to consider, especially with nonfiction titles. You need to know about the things that you cannot claim. So anything, if you are doing a book that is medically related or age or beauty, if you are making what they consider health claims, you will be blocked from ads. You may not be able to publish, and so on and so forth. In fact, that's also happening at IngramSpark. They may say, nope, you're making health claims and, we can't have that liability. So what they were running into is they were able to publish the book on KDP for Amazon. However, all of their ads were getting blocked out. They could not run ads for this book. And they kept saying because of the medical claims. And they're thinking here, it's our title. It's our title because it talks about osteoporosis. There's nothing we can do. Well, I talked to Barbara and I was like, hey, have you tried running ads with no ad copy? Because maybe it is not your actual book and book cover that they won't promote. Maybe it's whatever ad copy that you're putting in. When you've got that 150 characters, maybe you're mentioning, stave off osteoporosis with these 3 tips, and that might get you kicked out. And they said, no, I don't think we have. And so Barbara and her partner, who she's writing the book with, her co-author, they started ads and they did no ad copy. And don't you know, that thing went through. So sometimes when we're running into issues like this, where we're being blocked in some way, I've seen it in other things too, where like, hey, IngramSpark is not accepting my book for whatever reason. What are other ways that we can go? What side doors can we get into? And so in this instance for ads, they thought that their ads could not run because of the book cover and title, but really it was their ad copy. So one of the ways to test that very quickly, because they were frustrated, they were tired of spending time on it, I said, hey, try an ad with no ad copy. That way, is it the book cover or the ad copy? Before you go rebranding, changing your book name and everything else, try this. If it says no, then hey, you spent 5 minutes on it. It was a quick fix and it was a way to get around that issue. Just had someone else recently who, for whatever reason, IngramSpark was denying their book. IngramSpark would not let them put a book up, and they didn't know why. There was no like clear-cut reason. There were some issues going on, and they were very frustrated because they had a deadline to get this book published, and they needed it to be in places like Ingram and barnesandnoble.com, and they were just hitting a wall. And same thing, do you have any workaround? Do you have any ideas? And I suggested, hey, if you're not able to upload directly to IngramSpark because it's hitting some type of a wall, I don't usually recommend it, but have you in KDP where the book was approved, have you gone into KDP and tried selecting expanded distribution to see if when KDP uploads to IngramSpark, if they don't hit the same wall and they can get the book up? Because if so, at least that book gets, or that process going KDP expanded distribution would get the book onto Ingram. It would get it into barnesandnoble.com and bookshop.org. And then later, a couple months later, you can transfer that book because you own the ISBN. You can transfer that book from KDP's IngramSpark account to your own with the transfer form. And that way you kind of do that workaround. And it worked for one person, it didn't work for another, but you just never know. So sometimes when you feel like you're hitting a wall over and over and over again, think out of the box, think creatively, think about how you can go around so that you can try something new. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it sure beats running into a wall over and over again. So I'm glad that Barbara's book was able to get up and go ahead with ads, and that's a good lesson for us. I've seen this also happen with books that have mystery or thriller books that have any type of blood on the cover. I've seen this happen. Taking out the ad copy can sometimes work. I've seen it for romance books where maybe they thought the cover was a little bit too much, but it got through without the ad copy. So try different things if you're running into that wall. Another thing that's coming up in the news, it's fairly new, is Midjourney AI, which has been used for cover art. It's been definitely in the indie scene, but Midjourney AI for art has been used in a lot of covers, and they are running into a lot of legal trouble right now. There are lawsuits going on. There was some leaked information on Twitter where there was supposed documents, they're being taken to court. So supposed documents showing that they were in fact purposely training their AI to use different people's artwork. So if I said create something in, in the feel of Van Gogh, they were actually using Van Gogh's paintings to do that. Now that's just a scenario. I don't know that exact one, but that's the idea. And so they are running into quite a bit of trouble. And this brings me to something that I have kind of talked about for a while. AI is a hot topic. You want to get in an argument in the publishing community, just go into a publishing group or a room with a bunch of authors, start talking about AI, and I guarantee you will have a fight on your hands. But remember what I said about, not starting fights on social media. But AI has been such a hot topic, whether to use it, whether not to use it. And I've said from the very beginning to be ethical about it and to be careful. And one of the things that I have kind of said from the beginning is I am very wary about using AI art in your cover because of this very purpose. Because now Midjourney, there's a couple of other ones. I forget what the name is. And I don't have the article right in front of me, but Deviant, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look them up. I don't want to give you misinformation, but Midjourney for sure has been used for so many covers. I have seen very well-known authors and publishing facing experts who have been promoting, who have had classes talking all about how to use Midjourney to make covers and AI art to make covers specifically. And I have steered clear of that. I actually got asked to do an affiliate for one of them. And I said, I just can't, I can't in good conscience do that because I think there may be problems down the road. And this is kind of what I had feared, is that now this is in the court system. Is there a problem? Is there copyright? And we won't know for a while. This is fairly new. I think the news articles and stuff are all just from the last week. But what happens if Midjourney, in fact, is seen to be in copyright infringement? What happens to all of the covers that authors made? Do they have to change them? Do they have to take them down? Do they just have to disclose it, which is not as big of a deal, but we don't know. So you could 2 years from now, if this is, in the courts for a while, 2 years from now, for all those authors who had been using Midjourney for their art, are they now infringement? Are their books going to be taken down from Amazon? Are they just going to have to switch out their covers? Well, how does that work? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. We know this, but this is one of the things that I was concerned about with using Midjourney or other AI art for covers. Aside from giving credit where credit is due and copyright and all of that, this is one of my big concerns. And it's kind of showing up in the news, and I'll be following that to see what happens with it. But I just think it's very interesting that these things are coming up. Now, I won't beat a dead stick, but we've talked about AI and ethical uses and using it for brainstorming and prompting and different things like that. And I think there are, marketing and there are ethical ways to use AI, but I think that especially for creators who are earning money on what you create, it is such a fine line. And I think it's going to be a very interesting journey over 2024 as more cases like this show up. So we'll watch it. We'll see what happens, but always interesting when these big new cases, Midjourney has been polarizing for a while, but to actually see it go to court and again, because it was actually thrown out. There was a court case that was thrown out, I think last year, because the authors hadn't actually filed copyright on their work. It was thrown out, but the judge allowed them to amend their case, I think. And so that's where this is stemming from. So to see them back in the news and all of that is just interesting. Valerie had a great question. She's talking about selling her ebook, and Valerie said, can you suggest the best place to distribute my ebook after I do 90 days on KDP Select? So Valerie first is going to do 90 days KDP Select, which means her book will be in KDP or Kindle Unlimited. So she can do Kindle Unlimited. She can run a free promotion to get more reviews. There's different ways that can be used to kind of boost that up in the beginning. And so she's doing that. But after that, where do I go to get my book in the most places possible? So you can unselect KDP Select after 90 days, and you can go wide if you choose to do that. Now, you all know that I typically recommend Draft to Digital as an ebook aggregator. So for your ebook aggregator, I do recommend Draft to Digital because you can upload in one easy spot with an EPUB file, and Draft to Digital will get your book into Apple Books, Kobo, Nook, Overdrive for libraries, Bibliotheca, all of those places. It's very convenient. It's very user-friendly. So I do recommend you do that. Now, we know you can go to each individual platform. You can create an account at Kobo. You can create an account at Barnes & Noble, and you can upload individually. But that does give you more control, does give you more opportunities if you're going to take advantage of them. But it also gives you a lot more to keep track of. So just pick your poison. Do you want Draft to Digital, which gives you easy access? Or do you want to go to each individual place to upload, which gives you more control, but more to take care of? I don't think there's a wrong way. I think what fits you, your schedule, and your goals. But then you brought up some really good other platforms that I thought were very interesting. So, for example, you asked about Etsy, Teachable, Versa, different places like that. And so these places you would have to go direct. By the way, Draft to Digital does not do Google Play. So if you want your ebook available in the Google Play Store, you do have to go direct, create a Google Play account, and upload your ebooks there. So I recommend that you do that in addition. So it'd be KDP, Draft to Digital, and Google Play to get into all of those big retailers. Now, for the other places like Teachable and Etsy, you would need to create an account, a seller account, and upload directly. Now, whether you're doing a listing and you're delivering with BookFunnel, or you are doing a PDF and doing delivery that way, you would have to create a new listing for that and an account for that. You can also sell direct from your website if you're not exclusive to Amazon. So you can either do that through like Shopify or something like that, or you can use Draft to Digital not Draft to Digital, BookFunnel. BookFunnel has a sales platform where you can actually create a landing page to sell your book direct. And then you can get paid through BookFunnel, which works with PayPal and some other options. So really, if you're not exclusive, sky is the limit for a lot of things, but it does mean going to individual places and uploading your books there. I think it's brilliant that you're thinking outside of the box, that you're thinking about maximizing your sales with those books. Just know you have to then maintain each of those sites. If you're doing something, if you're changing something, you have to do it to all of them. So make sure you're keeping a record. I'm a big fan of Excel spreadsheets. So I personally would be putting an Excel spreadsheet together with all of those. Yeah, you can absolutely. So BookFunnel is a platform that we've talked about a lot. BookFunnel is a platform where you upload your book and you can either give it away for free in exchange for an email address, and it'll collect those email addresses, and it can even integrate into like Constant Contact or MailChimp. So it's a place where you can give things away and collect email addresses, but you can also sell from BookFunnel. And so you can absolutely use BookFunnel, get that direct sales page, which gives you more profit per sale. You can list it on your website and sell it that way, and use Draft to Digital and KDP for Amazon. Absolutely. Again, it comes back to you, your goals, what you intend to do with the book, and what you want to maintain. But I think those are all, again, brilliant ideas. I love that you're thinking outside of the box and maximizing those sales opportunities, because that's how you make more money. I mean, maybe 2 out of 100 people are going to buy the ebook directly from your website instead of Amazon. That's still 2 people that, number one, end up on your mailing list, and number 2, you make more money on. And then hopefully they'll buy the rest of your books. So most of the time when we talk about people or authors selling direct, it doesn't start all at once with some big bang. It usually starts slowly with little things like listing putting a sales page together on BookFunnel for your ebook and listing that on your website and giving, incentives or a discount code or whatever it is for people to buy direct. So yeah, sky's the limit. Just keep track of it. I tell you from experience, keep track of it, because when you go back and you're like, why is my book on Etsy? And then you remember, oh, I did that. It's really outdated and it's got an old cover, and I should probably take care of that. So keep track of it, and just remember to maintain it. What are your thoughts on trying to sell books through unusual storefronts? For example, selling a picture book about dogs at a pet store or veterinarian's office. Once again, out of the box, and I love it. So it's like our theme today. We're going to think outside of the box. We're going to be creative with our marketing, and I love this. Yes, bookstores are a great place to sell books. However, you know what they have a lot of? Books. So you've got higher competition. Whereas if you have a book about pet adoption and you can get it put into a local pet store, a veterinarian's office, or Chewy.com, then suddenly they don't have as many books. So you are going to stand out a little bit more. Now, is it true that people aren't coming there to buy a book? Yes. However, because they are there, I didn't necessarily go to the pet store to buy my dog a little sweater, but did I buy it? Yes, I sure did. So it's kind of the idea of finding your audience and getting in front of your audience. And I love that idea. It's why when selling direct, we've talked about, hey, if you've got children's books and you're selling direct, where are parents, grandparents, and kids going to be at? Go to your farmers markets, go to your craft fairs, go to the places where people will be buying, and you may not have as much competition, and they may indeed love what you have to sell if they're there buying for a gift or whatever it may be. So yes, think of the unusual places. Cookbooks going into grocery stores is a big one. Romance novels also tend to do well in grocery stores. Now, I will say it's a little bit dated in the sense that not only women are in grocery stores. We know that there are lots of people who cook. There are lots of people who stay home with kids and do the grocery shopping. So it's not just women in grocery stores. We're seeing more and more like car magazines and muscle magazines in grocery stores as well, but romance novels have done well in grocery stores for a really long time. It's an impulse buy as people are going through the stores. I remember when my kids were little, such a treat when my kids were little to go to the grocery store without them. Every once in a while, we'd have a weekend with nothing going on. And I'd be like, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'll leave the kids with you, honey. And my husband would know I'd be back in 2 hours. Now, the grocery store is literally down the street. I could walk there. But 2 hours later, because I would go into the grocery store and they have a little coffee spot because it's a Wegmans. So I'd go to that little coffee spot and I'd get my fancy coffee, and I would walk every single aisle of that grocery store. I was looking at the books, I was looking at the magazines, I was looking at all the things, and I'd drink my coffee and then I'd go grocery shopping. So there is definitely, times and places where that kind of thing is working. Also think about the little stores, think about the little shops that may not automatically feel like a natural fit. So for example, coffee shops can be a great place to sell things like poetry or art books. So can you partner with a local coffee shop? It doesn't have to be a huge chain. It doesn't have to be Starbucks. It can be your local coffee shop in town. We've got several of those. Can you partner with them? Can you partner with a local gift boutique that maybe you're doing consignment with? Can you partner with a local toy store or craft shop? For example, can you partner with a place that actually does activities? So we have a place where you can go and you can paint pottery. Could you possibly sell your book about, I don't know, pottery painting or something there? Possibly. You never know until you try. If you have a book about bird watching, could you sell it at the local pet store or the feed shop? We have a lot of feed shops around where I live. Thinking about all the different places is really, again, how you stand out. So I think that it's kind of a brilliant idea. Now, it doesn't always work. Sometimes they're going to be like, yeah, no, thank you. But especially if you can find locally owned local stores, and you can partner with them, so you can go and you can fill up books when you need to, and they have, you know, if they can make money on it because it fits specifically, not just generally as a book, but it fits specifically into their audience or what they sell. I have seen some beautiful partnerships this way. Also bulk sales for the same thing. You know, maybe you have a book that's set in the same town that this school is at. So you're going to look for bulk sales to see if that can be incorporated into their curriculum or as a yearly thing. Thinking outside. Now, I'm not poo-pooing Amazon. I'm not poo-pooing Amazon or online sales or all of the normal ways that we would sell books online, in bookstores, in libraries. I love all of those as well. I think you should do those. However, why stop there? Why not go outside of the box and try different things? And that is when you take your relationships typically, and you make relationships with the local stores and gift shops, and then you lift each other up and you both benefit in the process. And again, I think it's pretty brilliant. And I've seen some amazing, we're seeing in the chat, some amazing partnerships that you wouldn't have thought of. And then it's like, oh, but it's working. And that's amazing. Yeah. So Bob's saying he spent 6 months with 40 animal shelters and cat cafes and didn't have success because they wanted nothing to do with Ingram and the logistics of selling. And that may be true. And that's a really good point, Bob, is that sometimes these individual small shops, they don't want to deal with Ingram because they are not a bookstore. They're not set up with an Ingram wholesale account to buy through there. And that is why I specifically mentioned you may need to be prepared to do a consignment sale or to sell direct to them in those cases. I've seen that quite a bit, not with bookstores, or even a lot of gift shops will have Ingram wholesale set up. But if you're going to really smaller niche stores, consignment may be the way to go if you're open to that. And that's why I do think that going locally can be such a smart choice. Is there an easy solution for working with little shops? In my experience, smaller stores don't have the staff or interest in taking books from individuals and keeping track of all the sales and paperwork for it. I mean, some of them will have consignment solutions in place. Sometimes it'll be, hey, you know, would you be willing to take a chance on 2 books? I'll sell them to you at, you know, a 40-60 split. So 40% off, I'll sell them to you. If you sell them, great. If not, no. Some of them will actually already have consignment options in place. And that is why the relationship piece is so important. Is it, especially if it's a local store? Have you been in there before? Have you, you know, have you said hi to these people? Do they know that you live around town and could be back with more books? How convenient is it for them? And sometimes it's just not a good fit. Sometimes they're just going to tell you no, in which case you can say, okay, or you, if you have a copy of your book and it's not too expensive to print, you may say, okay, well, you know, would you like this copy? I'm happy to leave it here. If it sells, it sells. You can give me a call for more. And if not, or, you know, you don't like it, that's fine. So that's an option as well. Now, of course, that does take more of a monetary investment because you are leaving a book there. But now for some books, I know it's more expensive, but for the average book, like the average novel or children's book, it's probably around $5 to print it. And, you know, if you're doing print on demand. So is it worth it to you for potential sales? I don't know. I can't answer that. I think that's up to you, your goals, your plans, your budget, and all of those good things. Yes, stores that take art or handcrafted products from individual artists on consignments are already set up for that. And so that is absolutely true. There are places that do deal with a lot of handcrafted items, and they typically have strong consignment agreements already in place. So you don't really need to worry about that. Yes, absolutely. And it may not work. I mean, we're seeing lots of things on both sides. I will say I have had someone get a book into Chewy and it worked fantastically. I'm sure there have been many more people who have tried and it did not work at all. So it definitely depends. Subscription boxes are another one that I've seen work well. Sometimes getting in, if they have a subscription box for different things, also book subscription boxes. I've seen this work well where there are like fantasy romance subscription boxes and getting in there. But again, it's all about trying different things, because it may not have worked for me, may not have worked for you, but maybe it'll work for Tom over there because they're different books. So do you have the time? Are you willing to try a few things that are a little bit different? You could win big. You may waste time. So if you're low on time, not your thing to do. But I think it's all about fitting in with your plan. I've always said time, money, or both. That's what it takes to market a book. And if you've got a lot of time and not a lot of money, maybe it's worth visiting some stores or making a couple calls. But maybe it's not. If you're short on time, maybe that potential wasted time is just not worth it to you. Let's see. My book is on Ingram, but is there anything special I need to do to be on Ingram Wholesale? Nope. As soon as you upload to IngramSpark, so IngramSpark is the printer, they print your book, then they send your book over to Ingram Wholesale, and that is Ingram. So they're same name, two different companies, although they are connected by Ingram Content Group, but they're two different entities. So IngramSpark prints, Ingram Wholesale is the one who actually sells to bookstores, retailers, libraries. And if you upload your book to IngramSpark and set it up for distribution, they automatically get it into the Ingram Wholesale catalog. So there's nothing extra. There's nothing extra to kind of do there. Let's see. All right. Do you have any authors using Pinterest to promote their books, and has it worked well at all? I do have some authors using Pinterest, and I think it works well for some books. Here's the thing. If you have a mystery novel or you have a fantasy book, can you sell on Pinterest? You can, but I mean, you can, but I think it's more accident than like, oh, this is a proven thing that works. Now, if you have a nonfiction book, if you have a cookbook, especially, Pinterest abounds with recipes. So if you have a cookbook and you can do a short video or a blog that has one of your recipes in it, and then you can link to the book sale page, or you can link to your blog, which then promotes your book, that kind of thing. Pinterest is amazing for recipes and cookbooks. It can also be very good for art books, decor books. It can be great for nonfiction books in some cases. So for example, tips for how to write a resume, or tips for, I don't know, decorating or something like that. It can do very well for those. I will also say that it can do well for children's books, and here is why. Because a lot of parents, homeschool parents and teachers, are on Pinterest looking for things like crafts and stories and easy planning. So if you have a children's book and you have a craft, and you could actually do a quick video or do a blog or something about how to do this easy craft, and you tie it into your book and you can link to your book, then that could be something that could do very well for you. What I love about Pinterest is that you pretty much do it. You create that pin, you create that piece, and you link back to your sales page or your blog, whatever you're doing. And then it's pretty much done. Once it's up, you don't have to fiddle with it. Now, I do think in order to get those algorithms, you have to do it kind of consistently, but I have things being pinned still. I'm not very active on Pinterest anymore. I used to be a couple years ago. And I still have people pinning my stuff from 5-6 years ago. So it's one of those things that a lot of content ages and then it's kind of done. But Pinterest doesn't. If it's popular, it could still keep getting pinned years and years from now. So I do think that if you find that niche that fits well on Pinterest, putting your time into creating some pins that could kind of build up for a long time is brilliant. But mostly, again, I haven't seen it work as well for fiction books. I've had some authors try it where they are kind of doing different, I don't know, they're doing like a playlist and trying to tie it into their book and different things. I haven't seen as much success personally with the fiction market, but with nonfiction, I've seen a lot of success. Again, recipe books, especially, anything having to do with health, workouts, children's books, as I mentioned, and that kind of thing, I think can do very, very well. And David, I know you kind of have a photo art book, and so that could do well as also like doing different features in there, I think could work well, but it just depends. All right. I think we got through all of our questions, but if you have any more questions, drop them in the chat and we will cover them. But I think for the most part, that is everything. We are seeing the publishing community kind of wake up after the long sleep of Christmas. As I know I've talked about, a lot of the publishing industry shuts down for 3 to 4 weeks over Christmas. And we're seeing a lot of people to back to business. And so we're seeing a lot of things kind of catch up. And I would expect to see that over the next couple of weeks. If you had been doing any type of media pitching, podcast pitching, anything like that prior to the holidays, now is probably a good time to actually follow up with those. People are just now getting caught up in their inboxes and taking a breath so they can kind of get back to it. So that's a good time for that. I do think it's one of those things where we come in waves, right? So everyone kind of shuts down, but we still get emails and things. So then when we come back, we're overwhelmed and there's a catch up period, but I think we're getting back to it. So everybody, if we don't have any more questions, and it looks like it doesn't, we'll go ahead and end here. I will look at my schedule and see about a day when we can have a live. Everyone who wants to be on camera can join us for like a coffee chat. We'll do it directly after Free Advice Friday. So it'll be right after. I will find a date. I will let you know in advance so you can get dressed and do your hair and whatever you want to. And then we will meet you there. So I think that it is so wonderful that you are here today. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back here next week, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern. See you then. Bye, everybody.